Good afternoon, everybody. Toby Salgado here, Super Agents Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're new to the show, welcome. I hope you like it. You know, what I do on this show is I interview top producing real estate agents, coaches, and authors, and I dig into what made them successful and where they failed. You know, so hopefully you guys don't have to make the same mistakes. Now, real quick, hashtag for this show, unpack that idea. Whenever I mention that, Twitter goes off. When I don't mention it, you guys tend to fail about it. So there's lots of tweetable items in this episode. Now, this is sort of a nuts and bolts episode. Now, if you're a new agent, I think you're going to definitely get some stuff out of this. Now, and look, if you're a guy out there and you're already doing, $80 million, there's a couple nuggets in here for you. Look, it's nuts and bolts. We get into how you build your list, how you build your database. That's so basic, guys. But you know what? I talk with a lot of people, and they send me emails, and I say, well, how big is your database? And they're like, well, I haven't really been collecting them. I'm like, you've not been collecting emails? And I have been looking lately, just with people calling me, and I look at their sites, and you know what? I was talking to a guy today. And I said, hey, how about, taking some of your budget and throwing it on Facebook ads? And he's like, well, look, I tried it and it didn't work, right? Typical. I tried it and it didn't work. And I said, well, okay, well, maybe the copy was wrong. And he said, no. I was getting click-throughs, but they weren't doing anything. And then I go on a site and I'm like, there's nothing for me to do. Like, you don't have a book download. You don't have a place where I can, give you my name and email address for a home value. There's nothing there. So, man, anyhow, it kind of ties into the show. There's some very, very basic things in terms of being a marketer that either you know and don't do, or you don't know. So, again, we're going to talk about how you build your list. We're going to talk about when, once you build your database, how often should you contact them? And then, well, a lot of people struggle with, well, look, I know I should call them every quarter, or every month or whatever it is. But then they go, hey, Toby, I don't know what to say to them. So we get into some of that stuff. We get into scripts. We get into some door knocking scripts. So I hope you like this. Now, this guy is a trainer. And look, the only trainer that I'll endorse. I mean, I like Mike Ferry. I like Tom Ferry. I like him personally. I like what they stand for. But the guy that I trust is Bob Corcoran. And he likes what I'm doing. I like what he's doing. And if you have been thinking about getting a coach, we've cut a deal with Bob where, you just call him, you just email him and tell him that you found him through the show, and he'll give you, a free consultation, which is really cool, man. And you can, who you can email, just email Bubba, B-U-B-B-A, at CorcoranCoaching.com and get that call. Now, before we get to the episode, I just want to say, as you guys know, I hope you know, I'm building this radio advertising agency. And we can only add, look, here's what we're looking for. We're looking for the top people in each market. We're only going to focus on 100 markets, number one. There's a lot more than 100 radio markets, but we're only going after the top 100 radio markets. Because you know what we want to do? I want to put 100 top producing agents under one roof. And literally, if we can be responsible as a group for $10 billion of real estate sales, we can move the needle, man. There's so many interesting things we can do: book deals, TV shows, all that stuff. So if you are that person or on that trajectory, give me a call. Or send me an email and let's see if we're right for radio. All right. Hey, let's get to it. Hope you like it. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. Yeah. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey, Steve, thanks for taking the time out today. Now, I've given the audience a brief overview of your background, but take a minute, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going on today. I know it's pretty interesting.
Okay, well, I'm a retired Marine Corps officer. I've been out for 17 years now. I've been in the real estate business for 14 years. Got licensed in 1999. and actually been in the Mike Ferry sales system now for 11 years. And I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana with Century 21.
So, okay. So you got interesting. Okay. So let's back up. So real estate for 14 years, you've been in around Mike Ferry for 11. So you sold real estate for 3 and then kind of migrated to Mike. Before we get to that, I want to talk to you, so 99 was really the start of like your timing was in a lot of ways really good, right? Because 99, 2000 were good years. And then 01, right after 9/11, things got a little bit wonky, but then the housing market started to go crazy after that. So talk to us about and then obviously you lived through 2008. So talk to us about just market timing and what that means for people who are selling real estate, especially if they're entering the market today.
Well, unfortunately for me, got started in real estate. I went to work for a broker that gave me no training and no support. Here was my welcome aboard to the brokerage. Hey, here's your desk, here's your phone, good luck. I had no sales training, no sales background, no sales experience. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. So I spent my first 3 years in real estate during a great market doing 7, 8, maybe 9 transactions per year, starving to death. Without my military retirement pension, I would have been out of the business big time. So I missed that market, to be perfectly honest with you. In November of 2003, I went to Dallas, Texas to a Mike Ferry action workshop. Mike Ferry actually reprogrammed me during those 4 days. He flushed everything out of my head that I thought I knew about real estate, made me realize that I didn't know anything about real estate sales, and got me reprogrammed, and I've been with that program ever since. I actually doubled my production between the first week of November and the end of December in 2003. I went from 8 transactions to 17 transactions. And in the following year, 2004, I did 197 transactions. So learning what to do and what to say had everything to do with turning my career in real estate around.
Interesting, man. So I want to dig into that a little bit because, look, here's the thing. And first of all, I want the audience to key in on, you were in the Marines for 17 years, and there are things that you got, right, in terms of programming, things that were very much driven into you, right? So certainly discipline, right? And that's one of the problems I think people have, and I want to talk to you about your take on that. But so what you said, you went from 8 to 17. Okay, now you're doing okay. You're starving at 8, right? Then you go to 17, you're doing okay. And then all of a sudden you go to just under 200. That is what you said a minute ago was, well, I learned what to say and what to do. That there's a whole lot more in between going from 17 to almost 200. What was that reprogramming? Well, I mean, I can't really honestly put my mind around that, going from 17 to almost 200.
Well, first of all, just a correction. I had 28 years in the Marine Corps.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
And then I've been retired for 17 years as of right now. I retired in 1997.
Got it. Okay.
And then 14 of those years I've been in real estate, and 11 of those I've been actually in the business. The first 3 years I was just licensed. I didn't really consider myself being in the business because I wasn't doing any business.
Got it.
Anyway. I just think that the problem that most agents have, and actually the National Association of Realtors says that right now a brand new agent coming into the market has about a 50% chance of actually staying with it for more than a year. The typical brokerage does not offer the proper training and the proper support for new agents to teach them that, hey, yes, you have a license, but that doesn't mean that you know anything about sales. We've got to get people into a structured sales environment in order for them to learn sales skills. There's no such thing as someone who was born to be a salesperson. Salespersons are trained, not born. And if you don't get that training, you're not going to make it in sales. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't do 8, 10, 12, 15 transactions a year and make some money in real estate, but I'm talking about to sell real estate at a high volume and be very successful in real estate and actually build wealth and make a career of it that's worth anything, you've got to get some sales training, and you've got to stay in sales training in order to keep raising your level of skill and to keep honing and refining those skills. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I think there's another component to it. You know, there are people, I would agree with you that salespeople are not necessarily born. I mean, I think, but, okay, I don't want to go down that path too much. But yeah, I would agree with that overall. Here's the other thing that you have to learn to be successful. You can be successful in selling. That doesn't mean you'll have a successful business, right? Because you can do 200 transactions, and at the end of the year have nothing, right?
Absolutely. You also that training has to also include business systems. It has to. You have to learn how to manage money and how to keep your overhead low. I mean, there's a lot of training that's required in order to run a business. Like any other business, an independent real estate business is no different. If you're not profitable, it doesn't matter how much money you're turning over.
Right.
You're not profitable if you don't know how to manage that money and keep your expenses down and operate within a budget. Then you've got huge problems. So I agree.
Yeah. So let's talk about the sales piece, and then we'll talk about actually creating and building a business. So I'm intrigued. So you went to this Mike Ferry boot camp, and look, there are lots of coaches out, right? There's Mike, there's Tom, there's Bob Corcoran, there's Tim Harris. You have all these guys. There's Buffini, right? Everybody sort of has a different style. Now, what Mike teaches, as far as I know, and I've talked with Mike on the show. I've talked with him offline. I've seen him in person. He's like very old school. Call them, knock on their door, follow up, and that's, that there's no magic there. So I want to know, Mike, you said reprogrammed you, and that made all the difference. What does that look like? I've never heard anybody say that.
Well, the only model that I had to go by in my first 3 years was what other agents around me were doing. What were they doing? Right. They were sitting at open houses. They were sitting by the telephone in the office on floor duty, hoping that the phone would ring with a buyer or someone who needed to sell. Or they were doing a geographic farm, which takes money if you're going to do the mailings, et cetera, which I didn't have at the time. And those sorts of traditional methods. And Mike, as well as me, as well as anyone else who's knowledgeable in real estate, will tell you, yes, you can generate business with those methods. However, you'll never generate business at a high level with those methods, because those are methods where you're sitting, doing very little or doing nothing, waiting and hoping for business to come to you. The best way to build a business quickly and to build a solid base for a business that you can continue to expand is to go out and earn it every day. Just like you said, Mike teaches the old school way, and I don't have anything negative or derogatory to say about any of the other coaching systems. I don't know anything about them, to be honest with you. I've only been in the Mike Ferry system. But I know that if I proactively go out and contact 25 to 30 people a day and speak to them about real estate in a question-based format, well-scripted format, then I know that I'm going to find the next deal. You see, people don't buy or sell real estate every day. They buy or sell real estate on intervals of years, 3, 5, 18, whatever. So it should not be a surprise to us that not everybody wants or needs real estate services. We have to talk to 25 or 30 people a day to find the one who does. And that's what I do on a daily basis.
Right. I would agree with that. And by the way, I have nothing negative to say about Tom or I'm sorry, Mike and anybody's system. There's different. I will say, I would probably venture to say Mike has made more millionaires than anybody, even maybe like a Tony Robbins, right? Would you agree with that?
I don't have any statistical basis to make that statement, but I know that Mike is the oldest, the original, and the largest and the most successful coaching company, and there's probably 600 or 700 of his coaching clients right now that are doing somewhere between $750,000 a year and $3 million a year in commissions.
Wow.
So his system is extremely successful if you follow the system. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I would agree. So you mentioned two things, right? You said, okay, go. You need to contact 25 to 30 people. So we're going to dig into that for a second. You need to know when you contact them, right? You need to know what to say, and then you need to be cognizant of the fact that real estate is bought and sold in intervals. So now, and so you're going to get rejected a lot, right? And it's not rejected. People just don't need your product. They don't need your service because they're not at that time. Now, those are two different things, right? Because the last one is a mindset issue. People feel rejected even though they shouldn't. And the first one is they may know intellectually, okay, I got to talk to 25 or 30 people, but where do I do that, right? So help us, like, where can people put themselves up to meet and talk with those organically, right? To meet and talk with 25 or 30 people today.
Yeah, let me give you the three major categories that I attack ravenously each day.
Okay.
I start out with the brand new expireds. If I have a brand new expired, I assume that expired is highly motivated. I assume that they need to get their home back on the market immediately, and I'm typically knocking on their door somewhere between 7:45 and 8 in the morning, and their listing expired around midnight the night before.
Wow.
I know that the slugs that come dragging into the office around 9:30, or a few of them are going to call some expireds, but if I'm there before 8, I've got first crack at them, and if I'm there in person, I have a huge advantage over anyone calling by phone. Are you aware of I'm sure you are you aware of the three elements of total presence?
No, let's walk through them.
Okay. Well, the first element of your total presence is the words you use. The words you use equals 7% of your total presence. The second element of your total presence is tonality, or how you deliver those words, the highs, the lows, the inflections, the emphasis that we put on certain words. 38% of your total presence. If you'll notice, the difference between 38 and 7 is over 5 times more effective and 5 times more powerful. In other words, how we deliver our words, how we structure and deliver our sentences is more than 5 times more important and effective than the actual words themselves. And then last but not least, the remaining 55% of your total presence is body language. The eye contact, the smiling, the nodding affirmatively, the neutral body posture that is non-threatening, the firm handshake, so forth and so on. When I'm there in person, I have a 55% advantage over anyone calling over the phone.
Yeah, no, I actually did know that. I didn't understand it. So total presence. Yeah, so that's really, really interesting. I've never really thought about it in that way, right? In terms of, you know, the 5 times, 7 times more important than your words. So I mean, look, but so people, if you don't know what to say, that's going to affect you in a long way, right? Your body language, right? You're going to feel uncomfortable. That's going to come off, and then you're not going to look professional. So what?
Absolutely.
So I'm people are going to feel sheepish, right? I'm going to go to somebody's door at 7:45, and everybody, that's listening to you right now, Steve, they're going to listen to you and go, man, I know that's a good idea, but I'm going to be bothering them. They don't want to see me. Like, they have to fight that. So let's walk through this. What? 7:45, you come to my door, I'm expired.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we have to walk through the words. What is a good script that somebody can use?
Yeah, let's just role play it.
Yeah.
Knock, knock, or ring the bell, whichever. And you come to the door and you say,
hello?
Hi, good morning. I'm Steve with Century 21. I'm here because we have an emergency. May I share it with you?
Yeah.
Your home is no longer on the market. Your listing expired last night at midnight, and while I'm saying that, I'm holding up the MLS printout to validate that so that there's no question about what I'm saying.
Mm. Okay.
I assumed that the sale of your home was extremely important, so I came right out to get you back on the market immediately so that we don't miss any sales opportunities today. Do you have just a moment for me to get you back on the market?
Yeah, I guess. But doesn't my agent? Isn't he going to just? I don't know why he let it expire. Isn't my agent just going to do that? He just re-up it?
You know, that's another reason why I came right out this morning. See, right now you have no agent. When your listing expired, so did your agency agreement, which means right now you're totally unrepresented. There's not a single agent in town working with a buyer who knows that your home is for sale, and there's not a single buyer in this market right now that knows that your home is available. Can you see that we need to get your home relisted immediately so that you don't miss any sales opportunities today? Isn't that what you really need?
Yeah, I mean, I want to sell my house. So
fantastic. I'm available now or at 4:30 this afternoon, which is most convenient for you.
What I forget. It was 90 days ago when I did this. What do I have to do to get that? I mean, I want to get rid of my house. What do I do? How do we go about this?
All you have to do is sign this contract. I'm ready to go right now. I need to get my sign in your yard, get your key in my lockbox, and get this in the MLS computer before you get to work this morning. So again, are you ready to sign the contract right now?
Wow.
Get back on the.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll have the photographer out later today to get the photos, and you'll be in the MLS within the next 2 hours, and you'll be on all of the 700 or 800 websites in the next 48 hours.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How many of your students actually do this?
All of them. I have all of my coaching clients going out and knocking doors. I'm teaching them how to be effective and how to be powerful. I'm also teaching them to stand and use their gestures and their body language when they're actually prospecting by phone, because even though you can't see body language over the phone, obviously, the body language enhances your tonality, and the more enhanced your tonality is, the more effective it is.
Now it's funny, so your tonality, to talk about this. I mean, yours was fairly flat, right? There was not that many ups and downs. It was grave, man. It was serious, and I don't know if that's you or you meant it to be that way because you started out with "we have an emergency,"
Exactly. I wanted to be grave and serious because I want to get their attention. I was that way intentionally.
Interesting. Okay, I love that, man. I love that. It's the first time I heard. So that's category number one, right? You said there were three. What is there anything else you want to add to that? I mean, I think that's well, let me ask you this. So all of your people do this. Give me a percentage, a ratio, right? How many times do I have to do this before? How effective is it?
Well, anytime you're scripted, you're far more effective and you're far more efficient than someone who is unscripted, who's just winging it from person to person or from transaction to transaction, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
Once you become scripted and you see that these scripts work, then that starts building confidence. Confidence is based in two things. A is knowledge, B is an experience. So when people sense that you're confident, they know immediately, or they sense immediately, that you are both knowledgeable and experienced. If, on the other hand, as you come across without confidence, which it's pretty tough to fake confidence. If you're not confident, pretty soon they'll figure it out.
Yep.
They will assume that you're either not knowledgeable or inexperienced or both, and they will therefore assume that you are incompetent. So if you don't come across confidently, they will assume that you're incompetent, and they won't do business with you.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, for sure. If I sense incompetence, or the other thing too that especially with new agents, right? And this talks about your confidence is that I hear it all the time. I get emails. I get 200, 300 emails a day, and people ask me questions. And they go, Toby, hey man, I'm running out of money. I have 45 days left, and I need to get a listing now, right? Or need to do a deal now. What do I do? And I'm like, you know what, man? First of all, that desperation, people can smell that a mile away, and that speaks to incompetence as well. So expireds are the first category. What was the second?
Expireds are the first category.
Okay.
My second category is past clients, current clients, and sphere of influence, meaning people that I do business with, such as the person that cuts my hair, my dry cleaner, my car dealer, on and on and on. Right now, I've been in the business I've been managing a database for a little over 11 years, and I have a database of about 2,700 people. So I'm calling 10 of them each day. and I'm asking them for referrals. I can do a sample call for you. Hi, this is Steve Futch, your real estate professional for life. I was calling to see if you had one moment for me for a business call. Well, sure, Steve. What's up? Well, as you know, my business depends upon referrals from friends and past clients such as yourself. I was wondering, who do you know that needs to buy or sell property in the immediate future? And typically what you'll get there is the reflex no.
Yeah.
Same as walked into Dillard's department store and the clerk said, may I help you? You'd say no before you even thought about it, right?
Yep.
Nope, just looking. Same thing here. You're going to get the reflex no. So you need to follow up with a follow-up question, which is, I appreciate you taking a moment to think about that, but are you sure there's no one at the club, at the golf course, at the gym, at school, at church, at work, whatever they're involved in, that said anything about buying or selling real estate? Well, you know, Sally and Jim down the street did say something about their daughter graduating from college and they were going to buy her a townhome. Maybe you should check with them. Fantastic. And what's that address? And may I use you as a reference for contacting them? If you call 10 people a day, you will get some referrals. Everybody knows somebody 2 or 3 times a year that are going to sell or buy real estate. But they're not going to call you. You've got to call them and ask. If you'll call 10 people a day, if you go through 2,700 people a year, you'll get about 270 referrals. You get about a 10% return on your database each year if you'll call them, but most people don't bother to call them.
Yeah, well, you're right. They don't. And the other thing, like, so I can see how that will work. And really so you have 2,700 people in your database, and what you're doing with that call, you are prospecting, right? Just like that old miner, right? Digging through, looking for, you're prospecting. And you know, and that's sales. And I think even though we're all in sales, we sell real estate, but people feel uncomfortable with that, right? They're like, I don't want to sell. That's not me. I'm sure you've heard this a million times. How do you get somebody over that? If they say, look, I just don't feel comfortable doing that, right? Selling like that.
I would say that all knowledge and all skill and all new advances in your life come from getting uncomfortable. If you stay in your comfort zone, stay in your box, so to speak, for the rest of your life, you'll never learn, you'll never grow, you'll never take your business to the next level. Part of the system is to constantly expose yourself to something new, different, and uncomfortable in order to become comfortable with it. For example, I spent 28 years in the Marine Corps. I've been through enlisted boot camp, I've been through Ranger School, I've been through paratrooper training, I've been through the special warfare training with the Navy at the what you would call SEAL training. We call it BUDS, Basic Underwater Diver School. Been through a tour in Vietnam. I've been bayoneted. I've been shot. I've taken shrapnel. I've been in hand-to-hand combat to the death 3 times.
Oh, my God.
And then I got commissioned and went to Officer Candidate School, which is extremely difficult in the Marine Corps. Graduated from that, went to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, another combat tour. So let's say that I'm experienced with being in uncomfortable situations. Now, the first time I went and knocked on a door, I was absolutely petrified because that's something I'd never done before. It was out of my comfort zone, even though you would think a guy with my training and experience wouldn't be afraid of anything. So anytime you do anything new or different, yes, there's going to be a fear factor. There's going to be a factor of being uncomfortable. But that's something that you have to get over and get beyond in order to grow and learn in anything.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that, and I think again you have an advantage because like and I've been in situations where I'm scared to death, and for me I look back and go, look, what's the worst they can do, right? What are they all going to beat me up, right? If you go to the door and knock, am I going to get beat up or shot? I'm probably not, right? For the most part, you have the advantage of looking back and going, look, is what I'm doing right now, even if I'm uncomfortable, is this any worse than being bayoneted, shot, or hand-to-hand combat to death? And like, so you can dig in deep and go, no, it's not. I'm going to do this. But, how, again, people who don't have that background and they intellectually know, yes, Steve, I need to get uncomfortable. I need to get out of my comfort zone. What, look, you coach people on how do people do that?
Well, it's all about mindset.
Okay.
You have to form the mindset. First of all, you have to have a winning expectation. You have to see yourself as a winner. Write this down, everyone that's listening. Play the game as if you've already won.
Yes.
Play the game as if you've already won. Best example I could give you of that is the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl back in February. As a student of mindset, it was obvious to me when they came on the field after the first couple of minutes that they had already won the game. They knew that they had already won the game. There was no doubt in their mind about it. They were playing like winners, executing like winners, and winning big time right off the get-go. The only thing they were doing was going through the formality of playing the game out to validate to the rest of the world what they already knew. They took the greatest offensive team in the history of the National Football League. I forgot how many different offensive records the Denver Broncos set last year, but there were several. And they humiliated them. The only difference, the only substantial difference in those two teams on that day was mindset. There was no substantial difference in athletic talent.
Right.
So you've got to give people training in mindset, how to think differently in order to act differently. You see, we have three things that come from our mindset: our attitude, our approach, and our expectations. Those are the manifestations of our attitude. That's how we manifest ourselves to the world. Our mindset will determine how we manifest ourselves to the world. So we've got to change the way we think in order to get a different manifestation, in order to get a different result.
Right, I agree. And look, all these things, playing like you've won already, changing your mindset, getting outside of your comfort zone. All these things takes training. It takes practice. It's just like making decisions or lifting weights. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Absolutely. Repetition is the mother of skill. The more you do something, the better you get at it.
There you go. So category number 2 is calling. Now, you started with, you said past clients, current clients, sphere of influence.
First category would be new expireds. Second category would be past clients, current clients, sphere of influence, 10 calls. And then I go directly to for sale by owners, because the for sale by owners, again, are people who have signs in their yard saying, hey, we need to sell our home. Typically, 8 or 9 out of 10 of them will list with a broker within 90 days. However, most agents who don't know what to say and don't know what to do will never even contact a for sale by owner, because they're scared to death someone might answer the phone and then they wouldn't know what to say, or they won't knock on the door because they'd be afraid to. So there's very little competition for sale by owners. And I've found a real niche there. I've listed about 2,700 for sale by owners in the past 11 years. I focus on them because I have little competition there, and I know that the vast majority of them are going to list with a broker within 90 days.
So what, this is a good thing. So you're a very scripted guy. What would you, first of all, do we call or do we show up? And then secondarily, Either, okay. And what's a good script for that? I mean, I love this on the expireds. We have an emergency. How would you frame how would you approach a physical?
Hi, I'm Steve with Century 21. I'm looking for the owner. Are you the owner? Well, yeah, I'm the owner. Great. I'm doing a survey of all the for sale by owners in the area, and I was wondering, if you sold this home, where would you go next? Well, I'm moving to Dallas, Texas. Dallas, that's exciting. And how soon do you have to be there? Well, I'd like to be there by Christmas. Okay, so you need to be there in the next 3 or 4 months. I can appreciate that. Did you understand that the average days on market for a home like yours right now in Shreveport, Louisiana, is about 126 days, and then there's another 30 to 40 days to get the transaction closed? Well, no, I didn't know it took that long. Well, based on that new information, can you see that we need to get you listed immediately in order to get you to Dallas in the next 90 to 120 days? Isn't that what you really need? That's exactly what I need. And that's exactly why you and I need to meet immediately. I'm available now or at 4:30 this afternoon. Which is best for you?
Right. So you get in the door, you convince them, right? you ask these leading questions, right? Every time, both scripts, right? You've given the either or sort of close, right? We can do it now or at 6 o'clock. But the real problem is with FSBOs is they're cheap. They want too much money for their house. How do you handle that when they go, okay, Steve, yes, I know I need to list it. I know the timing, 126 days. I know I need to do it right now. But I want $400,000 for my house.
Okay. Let's say your home is worth current market value is $350 and you want $400, right?
Yep.
I'm going to say, well, I can appreciate that you'd like to get $400,000 for your home. I'd like to get that for you too. However, do you control the market? Well, no, I don't control the market. Well, neither do I, and neither does any other individual. The market is controlled by the buyers, and no one can cause a buyer to pay more than market value for anything. Let me ask you another question. Would you pay what you're asking for your own home if you were shopping for a home today, knowing that you could buy 3 or 4 or 5 other similar homes for $50,000 less? Well, no, probably not. Exactly. So why would anyone else? You see, we've got to price it at market value to get the market to respond to it. If you're going to overprice it, hell, let's just price it at $3 million. We might as well make a big splash because it's going to have the same opportunity of selling if it's $50,000 over or $3 million over. If you really want to sell it, let's price it to sell. If you're not serious about selling it or your level of motivation to get it sold is not that high, then there's no need in putting it on the market. You see, I won't take an overpriced listing because it's a complete waste of time. I'll let somebody else have it for 6 months, and then I'll come in and get them as an expired, at which time they'll probably be ready to listen to pricing and price it right. They have to be made to understand that pricing is the most important factor in the sales process. If it's priced right, there's nothing you can do to keep it from selling. If it's overpriced, you can put it on the front page of the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal every day for 6 months, and you won't get a single showing. No one can cause a buyer to pay more than market value for anything.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
It is that simple. I mean, the way you just walked me through it right now is it was very rational and it made complete sense to me. I mean, I think I would be swayed by that, but again, that doesn't work on everybody. So
no, it doesn't. That's why I continue to visit my for sale by owners weekly. I have a system. I systematically visit them. I found that my average is 6 weeks to get a listing. Typically, it takes 6 weekly visits to get them to list because it's a process of educating them and giving them information and planting some negatives.
And what's an example of that?
What, planting a negative?
Yeah.
I'll just say, Mr. and Mrs. Let's say I'm on my second visit. Hi, it's Steve from Century 21 again. I'm just following up from our visit last week. Did you have anyone look at the house this week? Well, yeah, we had a few people walk through. Great. Were they qualified for a mortgage? Well, I mean, we don't know. I mean, we think they were. We hope they were. Thank you for making that point. You see, most people shopping for sale by owners are shopping for sale by owners for a specific reason. Typically, that reason is they're not qualified for a mortgage. That's the reason they're not working with an agent. No agent will work with them to show them listed properties because they're not qualified for a mortgage. So now they're forced to shop for sale by owners and seek owner financing. So my question is, are you folks going to be okay with having unqualified lookers walking through your home and asking for owner financing? Or would you rather have qualified buyers seeking to purchase in the immediate future at full market value? Well, we want the qualified buyers at full market value. That's exactly why people like you hire me. You still need to be in Dallas in 90 days, don't you? Well, I have to be. Fantastic. I'm available now or 4:30 this afternoon, which is best for you.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I love that. Okay, so I really...
Now,
go ahead.
Let's look at it a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Let's say I leave. They didn't give me the appointment. What have I done? I've now planted in their mind that most of the people calling or coming to their door are not qualified for a mortgage. I'm turning the tables and educating them at the same time. Now, instead of looking at me, the real estate professional, as the enemy, as the bad guy, they're looking at me as the oracle of all good information And they're starting to look suspiciously at the members of the public that come to their door because they have no idea of knowing if those people are qualified for a mortgage. They have no way of verifying.
Right. Right. No, I that's great. I mean, this I think a lot of people, my audience, is going to find this episode really, really helpful because, even though this is basic stuff, a lot of people, they this is what they need. So let me ask you this. So we know two things. One, I need to contact 25 to 30 people every day. Now you have a database. Not everybody has a database. How do we build it? Because we know that the database is super important. How do we build a database and put ourselves in a situation to meet 25 to 30 people every day? Number one, and two, put 2 or 3 of those in our database every day.
That's a great question. I would pick a street or a subdivision or a neighborhood where there is a moderate to high amount of real estate business where I'd like to break into, and I would go door to door. I would knock on the door. Hi, I'm Steve from Century 21. I stopped by to let you know about 123 Mockingbird, which just listed for $400,000. It features 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2,000 square feet, 2-car garage. I'd also like to let you know about 178 Mockingbird, which just sold for $413,000. It featured 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,900 square feet with a 3-car garage. And I was wondering, who do you know that needs to buy or sell in the immediate future? Well, we don't know anybody. Well, I appreciate you thinking about that for a moment. You sure there's no one at home, at school, at church, at the club, at the gym that said anything about buying or selling real estate? Nope, don't know anybody. By the way, when do you plan on moving? Oh, well, we don't plan on moving anytime soon. Great. Well, I appreciate you taking a moment to speak with me. Would you be interested as a homeowner in getting a free e-newsletter once a month that will show you exactly what's going on in our real estate market? Well, the word free is what they key in on. Well, yeah, free, I'll take that. Great. I already have your address. I just need your name, your cell phone number, and your email address, and I'll have that over to you every month. Now, I have them in my database, and I'm going to be calling them for referrals several times a year, and I'm going to be sending them my market statistics every month when I update them, so that once a month, even if they delete it, for that 1 nanosecond, it reminds them who their real estate professional is. And even if they delete it for every month for 3 years in a row, the moment they need to buy or sell, they're going to remember, okay, Steve is my real estate professional. Steve is a market expert. He's been keeping me updated on what's going on in the market month after month after month. I'm calling Steve.
Right. Okay. Let me. So that's good stuff. Let me go back for a second. I forgot. How did you knock? Let's start at the beginning. So you knock on the door, and how do you start?
It's a just listed, just sold approach.
Okay.
I'm informing everyone on the street of homes in the area, the immediate area, that have just listed and just sold. I use 1 just listed and 1 just sold.
Gotcha. So I open the door and you immediately just go and hi. You take no break. You don't go, hi, how you doing? I'm Steve. You just go, hi, I'm Steve, and I'm in the neighborhood showing or telling everyone X. And you just keep on rolling.
I'm here to let you know about the home up the street that just sold. I'm here to let you know about the home up the street that just listed. Do you know of anyone who might need to move to this neighborhood or anyone else who's thinking of selling?
Got it. Hey,
and then if they don't know anybody there, you ask them, by the way, when do you plan on moving?
Got it. Okay, cool.
I know when they're planning. Sometimes they'll say, well, we're not moving for another 3 months. Oh, fantastic. So you're moving in 90 days. Now you have a listing lead, right?
So that's door knocking. Now what other ways? Again, this comes back to a lot of people. They know door knocking works. I had a guy on the show. His name's Futch. I don't know if you know this guy, but his deal was 100 doors a day for 10 years, and he did this. He knocked on 100 doors every day. By year 3, he was making $1 million a year, and he owned like 17 houses. People know it works, but what stops them, Steve? It's just like, you know what? Look, I'll ask you 2 questions, and I'll give you some room to run. What stops people, number 1, from doing this they know works? And number 2, what stops people from getting help, from getting coaching, even though they know every single top producer, every single athlete has multiple coaches? Why? What is go.
Well, I think the first thing is work ethic. Unfortunately, we're in an industry that people who don't have a work ethic, people who don't want to have to get up and go to work or be accountable to any employer or anyone, for that matter, tend to gravitate toward real estate. When's the last time you heard of an agent being fired by a broker because they didn't show up for work on time, or if they didn't show up for a week, or even if they didn't get a listing for a month?
Yeah.
I mean, it does not happen.
Yeah.
Brokers bend over backwards to coddle and make excuses for their agents in order to keep them happy so they won't leave and go to another broker, when in fact that's the best thing that could happen to the broker, because if they're non-productive, it's like a ball and chain. Why would you want an agent who's non-productive?
Right.
Just for the sake of having another agent. The reason most people get into real estate is because they don't want to work. And if you don't have a work ethic, it's no different in real estate than it is in any other arena of human endeavor. It's the people with the best work ethic that will always rise to the top.
Yeah.
Real estate sales is hard work. You got to get up and put in 8, 10, 12, sometimes 14 or 16-hour days to be a top producer. Talk to any top producer, and they will let you know that. They're not sitting around. They're working actively.
Yeah, and I'll just throw in a couple things. Number one, people get into real estate for two reasons, right? They want time freedom and they want financial freedom. The problem is they abuse the time freedom and they will never get financial freedom. And the other thing I want to say, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, is real estate is the most fantastic vehicle for success, for wealth that in the history of mankind, right? I mean, real estate is and it's anybody can do it. Anybody can. I mean, just what you said. It just takes hard work.
You're exactly right. It's wide open to everyone. We all have the same opportunity. There's absolutely no ceiling on what you can earn if you're willing to learn some skills and work. And it has made more people millionaires than any other industry by a long shot. I mean, there's nothing else that even comes close.
Right. So
real estate is an unbelievable opportunity if you're willing to learn some skills and do a little work.
One of the things you said, so in terms of adding people to your database, right? Go and do the work and pick a farm and knock it. Now, once you get these people into your database, you're building your database. You said earlier, I will call them several times a year and try to get referrals. People struggle with the frequency. How often should people start calling these people?
Well, I would start calling them immediately. Our system teaches that we need to call our past clients, current clients, and sphere of influence 4 times a year. That's once a quarter.
Okay.
So you have to figure out how many people you're going to call first, how many people, that's determined by how many people are in your database, and then you break it down systematically. How many must I call per day in order to call everyone 4 times a year? Or how many people must I call per week in order to call everyone 4 times a year? So forth and so on.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So again, let me ask.
Everything is structured. Everything is systemized.
If you look at a typical brokerage, right, you see 3 categories. You see the top 20%, right? These are the rainmakers. You see the middle 60% who are people holding their own, right, in terms of selling real estate. The bottom 20% are just taking up air, right, taking up space. Now, the difference between the top 20 and the bottom 20 is 85% of the top 20 will have a coach. 100% of the bottom 20 will not. Why is that, Steve? Why? I mean, people see that it works. Why don't people invest in themselves and get some help when they need it?
It comes down to 2 things. Number one, they don't see it as an investment. They see it as an expense, and they say they don't have the money. My reply to that is always, what is your average commission? Let's say someone says $5,000. Okay, for 1 year of coaching, that would cost you 2.5 commission checks. If you could get 20 to 25 commission checks in exchange for 2.5 commission checks, would that be a good deal for you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it'd be an awesome deal. Then what's keeping you from signing up? Second is a lack of commitment to themselves and a commitment to their business. A lot of people in real estate, for whatever reason, don't have that commitment to themselves and to their business. Therefore, they see no value in jumping in order to get involved in something that will give them a competitive edge. So it's The two major factors are money and lack of commitment to themselves.
Yeah. No,
a perfect example would be if I go and give a presentation, typically 10% of the audience will sign up for coaching. If there's 50 people there, I can expect to get about 5 contracts. If there's 100 people there, I get about 10 contracts, so forth and so on. About 10% of any real estate audience will respond to the absolute need for coaching, and the rest of them, for various reasons, will absolutely just pass it by. They see that it works, they see the evidence of it, they believe that it works, but they won't commit to it.
Now, what about so again, there's no magic here, right? You have to do the work, and early on, people need this. People need to understand kind of really a lot of stuff that you broke out here, right? What are the categories? What to say? Now, what happens when people go, okay, look, I've been with you, Steve, for 2 months. I know what to do. Right? I know what to say. I got all the scripts. I have them. I don't need coaching anymore. What would you say to that person?
I would say that everyone that I know of that's gotten out of coaching over the past 11 years, without exception, everyone to a person, their productivity has gone down. You don't maintain the same mindset and you don't maintain the same attitude, approach, and expectations if you get out of the coaching, because the coaching supplies something that the real estate industry is absolutely devoid of, which is accountability. If you have that coaching accountability and you have someone keeping you, let's say, between the ditches every week, you start veering off the road through that 6 or 7 days, and then every week you have a 30-minute call with your coach that gets you back up on the road and going straight again. Accountability is absent from this industry. Like we just said, nobody's gotten fired recently for not showing up or for not taking the listing. And people in this industry understand that there is no accountability, but a small percentage of us realize that we need the accountability in order to be productive and successful. Those are the people that sign up for coaching, and those are the people that wind up excelling in the business, because they know that they must have the element of accountability in order to grow, learn, and achieve.
Right. Okay. So when we started this, and we're gonna start wrapping up here in a few minutes, but when we started this, you said that 50% of the people don't make it 1 year in real estate. Now,
well, I said that the National Association of Realtors is telling us from their statistic, brand new agents new in the business have about a 50% probability of staying in the business beyond 1 year.
Right. Okay. So, and here's my question to you. For somebody starting out or recharging their business today, what is is there one thing that when people start out, right, or recharging, they've been out for a little bit and they're coming back in, what is the common theme that you see that most agents get wrong? I know that's a big question, but I just want to see where you take it.
Well, the thing that they get wrong is they think it's about them. Unfortunately, we're in a very egocentric industry. People believe, you take the average person off the street that's a nobody like me, and all of a sudden they get a real estate license, boom, they're supposed to become a celebrity. You see their picture plastered all over bus stop seats and billboards, and you see their advertisements in every newspaper and magazine. Some of them are buying radio and TV time, which seems to have some good effect. But the point is, this industry has never been about you. It's not about you today, and it'll never be about you in the future. You have to do everything and make it about the client, the prospect. Once you learn to get rid of the word I and you get rid of the word tell, stop telling people. You see, selling is not telling. Selling is asking questions, and most of us are not trained to ask questions. We're trained to go blah, 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 blah all day, and that turns people off. The first thing that you have to do to be successful in real estate is learn to get rid of the word tell from your vocabulary, substitute the word share. If I walk up to you, Toby, and I say, Toby, let me tell you something. Even if you like me, and no matter how well I said it, deep down inside, that kind of rubs you the wrong way, because no one likes to be told anything. They assume that you're arrogant and condescending if you're telling them something. Yep. But if I walk up to you and I say, Toby, may I share something with you? Who on God's green earth is going to object to that?
Right.
Nobody.
Yep.
And then you're wide open to accept anything that I say after that. Not only that, you're kind of curious and you're really tuned in, waiting for me to say something if I say I'm going to share something with you. So it's all in learning those kinds of subtleties that make the huge difference between 15 deals a year and 150 deals a year. It's all in asking questions and sharing, not telling.
Yeah. Look, when you're going to share something with me, I mean, I feel like I'm going to get a gift, right? You're going to give me a piece of cake, and let me share my candy with you. So
it opens you wide up. It opens you wide open to anything that I want to follow with.
Real quick. We know this, boots on the street kind of approach. What is, we live in a connected world with social media. Look, here's what you said. You said radio and television. Now, I know for a fact that radio and television are crazy vehicles to get listings. But what are some other things that you see that people should think about in terms of marketing that are working?
I think any and all marketing works to some degree. But the problem with most marketing is the cost, and that comes back to profitability. You can buy business all day long by buying advertising and doing any type of marketing you want. The question is, if you're having to spend 60 to 75 cents on each dollar that you're bringing in back into the advertising pipeline, then you're never going to be profitable. So nothing against any kind of marketing. I think all of it works. The question is how much of it can you do or rely on? If you're totally reliant upon it and you're not willing to do anything without that overhead, I don't see how you can ever be profitable.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So here I'm going to ask you the same last two questions I ask everybody. First is this. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy.
Yes, I love that book. I love the whole message in there. And look, if you in the audience, if you have not read that, you should. That should be in your library. You can get a free copy using our link, audibletrial.com/superagentslive. Okay.
And if you've read it 3 times, read it the 4th time.
There you go. The other book that everybody should read every year is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I know it's it's an old book, but that's something that people should read every single year.
Absolutely.
Okay. This next question, I'm intrigued to hear what you say. But do you have any personal habits that you feel have contributed to your success?
Well, I have the good fortune of having been reared by a highly disciplinarian father, so I had discipline instilled in me at a very early age, and then another 28 years in the Marine Corps, which further reinforced that. I think coming from a background of discipline and structure has given me somewhat of an advantage that most people would not have, because most people don't spend 28 years in the military.
Right.
The 5 major characteristics of a really good professional real estate salesperson: structured, scheduled, scripted, disciplined, and focused. We need to write those 5 things down, figure out what they mean, and start working on developing and acquiring those and developing them to a higher level. Because if you develop those 5 characteristics, you will become successful. Without those characteristics, it's going to be a real tough uphill battle to achieve in this extremely competitive industry that we're in.
Yeah, structured, scheduled, scripted, and focused. And as I look at these, Steve,
disciplined and focused.
Oh, disciplined and focused. It's interesting because in terms of does one of these have more emphasis or importance than the other? And I would look at it and I would say no, they're all equally important in terms of your business and your life.
I would peel the onion one layer deeper and say they're all interrelated, and without all of them, the others will fail.
Awesome. Hey, Steve, thanks for coming on the show. I know that you're a super, super busy guy. My audience is going to love it. I want to say thank you as we wrap up. I'm sure lots of my people want to reach out and say thank you. Maybe they have a follow-up question. Let me know, or let them know where they can find you and where they can hit you back.
Well, I have an informational web page so that when I'm dealing with my prospects on a daily basis and they say something like, well, you're a total stranger, we don't know anything about you, I can appreciate that. So I want to invite you to go to my informational web page, which is Steven, Steven, Futch, Futch.com, and it shows you my background, my qualifications, and most importantly, my record of sales performance that will convince you that I'm the best agent for the job.
Awesome. Hey, Steven, thanks again, bud.
Thank you, sir, for having me. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I hope I've passed along one or two things that everyone can benefit from.
Well, listen, if I literally have like 2 pages of notes, I'm sure everybody else does. So, all right, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated